there! Welcome to another episode of Chic Roun Town. I'm your host, Doll Bass, and tonight it's written in the stars. What am I talking about? Stick around and you'll find out. So I had to stop by the palette to grab me a drink and get me some good food. And who did I run into? Alina Apostol, who is a psychologist and professional astrologer. Alina, what's up?
Hi, welcome to the palace.
And welcome to Chic Roun Town. Now, Alina, I want to know exactly what it is that you do. Because to me, you know, a psychologist and a professional astrologer, I haven't met any professional astrologers before, so I'm eager to know what that's all about.
What do? I help people go through their challenges. Emotional challenges, spiritual challenges, I would say, and basically what they deal with. And how do I help them? I combine my knowledge of astrology with my tools from psychotherapy and psychology. It's hard to say what I do in a specific, concrete way because my work involves a lot of brainstorming and creativity and being present with my client. And if I would be very detailed, I would say I customize what I do with every client based on their needs and where they are in their life and their level of consciousness. And
right, so it's not a one-size-fits-all.
No, what I do is very different, and that's why it's so hard to explain. And many people out there who have worked with me, they can't put on me a label.
Yeah.
But let's go in depth. What astrology is. Yeah, so astrology is not tarot. That's why it's so hard, because with tarot you have the cards.
Right.
But astrology is not tarot. Astrology is not numerology. So I'm not taking someone's name and derive numbers from it and calculate something. No.
And you don't read palms.
And I don't read palms. What I do, I need, for example, you are my client. I need your birth time, date of birth, and location of birth. Nowadays we use apps. I'm going to input this data in a computer, in an app, and I will look at something we call natal chart, which is a wheel with the planets from, when you were born, the sky was in a particular way.
Yeah.
So that's a snapshot. The natal chart is a snapshot. It's a picture of the sky at the moment when you're born.
Oh.
That's what I do, basically.
Okay.
And I use that natal chart to have understanding of the person in front of me without knowing anything about my client. What do I see in the chart? I see a core, I see a potential, I see a seed. Whether that seed is being actualized or not, I need a conversation with the client to understand where they are on their life path. But I see the seed. So, the trees out there, a mango is different than an avocado tree.
Of course.
What the natal chart shows me is that potential, pure potential that you can blossom into.
So I know a lot of people will compare all of this to being psychic and stuff like that, but what are some of the myths that we really need to break down? Because I know we spoke about the tarot reading and numerology, and a lot of persons may think that these are all a part of astrology. How do we differentiate all these things?
They are not part of astrology. We could put everything under the umbrella of divination, which is basically finding meaning and purpose in life through different tools. So I would not put them in the same category. And when you mention the word psychic, I know I have been studying all my life to be here where I am.
Right.
And not just studying psychology, but studying astrology. It's a very, very technical practice.
Right.
It involves a lot of understanding patterns and counting degrees and whether or not you become intuitive and very good at it. That I think depends on the practice and how much you practice. This applies to everything in life.
Right.
The more you practice something, the better you are at it. You can do it with your eyes closed. However, if someone wants to really get into astrology, it's gonna be a lifelong pursuit. It's gonna make you at first become obsessed with it, because it does that to you. So you're gonna go and read and study and do all this research, and then probably you're gonna go into a state of feeling it more and understanding it from a different point of view than a mental level. But that takes years.
So it's not a one-day thing. It's not something where you go to school for 6 months and bam, you have a certificate in astrology. It doesn't work that way, guys. She has spent her life trying to learn, and it's a continuous learning process.
All the time.
Right.
All the time.
So people out there who are saying they're psychics, and don't compare them. Don't compare them to Alina.
I think they do a different kind of work.
Yeah.
So whatever intuition they have, or they are in touch with different parts of they can channel different things, and I truly acknowledge that, because as an astrologer I know there are energies out there or signs, let's call them signs, like Pisces, and they are deeply intuitive, and they would have a contact with something beyond or deeper, or something that is non-material. So those people can call themselves psychics, but what they do is very different than what I do and other professional astrologers do. And nowadays I'm very happy that this happens. In the past, you would have been more self-taught astrologer, but nowadays there are actually universities and there are schools where you actually have to go to school 3-4 years to get a diploma in astrology.
I could understand that, because it's quite complex. How do you find that? I know you said that you got so obsessed with it, and that's how you really have to be a professional astrologer. You really have to be in tune to what it's teaching you. But how do you find that you relate it to your own life as well as your personal relationships?
How do I use it, you mean?
Yes.
In my life? I don't even know how I use it, because I use it, I guess, unconsciously at this point in time. Like, I don't need to study or to look at things to know what's happening. Okay, so let's pin this down. What do we do with astrology? We have a natal chart that tells us who we are. So the natal charts, in the astrological chart, will tell you who are you, what are your talents, your skills, what kind of patterns are you possibly going to incorporate in your life based on different energies or archetypes that are in the chart. Someone would be more inclined to be nurturing, for example, moon in Cancer, like you have. Someone may be more inclined to be a leader, moon in Aries. Someone is going to build their life based on a goal, Capricorn, and they will follow purposefully that goal in life, whatever that goal is. So when we apply astrology to life, and how astrology can help us does not depend on the what. Whether I'm a lawyer, a doctor, a businessman, a woman or a man, it depends on the how. How astrology, how my natal chart is going to be expressed and visible through the profession I choose, through the partners I choose, through the country I live in.
So I want to touch a little bit about the zodiac, because we hear a lot in social media these days, the comparisons between different zodiac signs, and this person is annoying, must be a Cancer or something like that. And I want to know if there's any truth to the different characteristics of the various zodiac, or any specific zodiac sign.
It's mind-blowing how accurate it is. It's mind-blowing. And the more you see it, you feel it, and you understand it multi-layered, it is mind-blowing. The way I do my practice, especially with new clients, the first 10-15 minutes I talk about their chart, because I need the client to be safe enough with the tool, not necessarily with myself, with the tool that I'm using. I need the client to trust the tool. So what do? I look at the natal chart and I tell you about yourself. I'm going to describe you what I see in the chart, and I'm going to tell you, this is not going to sound surprising to you. I'm just translating things that I see in the chart. Moon in Cancer, very nurturing, very you need this emotional connection. You need to hold space. You need to create a safe environment.
She's talking about.
I'm talking about her chart. And then your Sun in Aries, coming across as a leader, projecting yourself as a leader. It doesn't necessarily mean you are a leader within yourself, but outwardly, your Sun, the way you shine bright, is through the leadership qualities and being impulsive and rush and wanting novelty and exploring and being an adventurous person. Correct?
That's correct.
So, oh God, I forgot the question.
The zodiac characteristics.
Yes. So it's mind blowing how accurate it is. And when I work with my clients, I need to allow this space of them connecting with the tool. So I describe what I see in the chart. Then we start a session. What is going on in your life? Why do you need me? How can I help you? So basically the little part that astrology comes into is just to create this bridge and this safe space. However, when you go through something, your business collapses, you go through a divorce, some health being affected, what do we do with astrology? We use the sky, we use the planets now traveling in the sky and map them with a natal chart to understand what kind of life cycles you are going through. And this is where the real magic of astrology becomes embodied and becomes manifested. Not because I can read your whatever and I can say a little bit about yourself.
Your chart, right.
That can be said by your best friend. You don't need to go to an astrologer for that.
True.
But what astrology does is it gives you this sense of things are passing. This is not going to stay with me this time, this bad time, this whatever. It's transitory. And what do I need to learn from it? So I can give input. I can help my clients understand what is this about. Like yesterday I was talking with someone and their businesses, their building went on fire and they had this like 3-4 months of bad luck with the place. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like a Pluto transit. This sounds like something is purging within your business. So whether it's the chart of the business or it's the chart of the owner, and I can actually look at it and say, this is happening, your soul or you are growing through different phases. You need to let go of that or that or that, and then the dialogue starts and I connect, and that's where psychology or psychotherapy steps in.
So you mentioned Pluto transit, and I'm intrigued about that, and I want to know what's the relation between that and Mercury being in retrograde, because I hear a lot about that and people think it's just this one big negative thing, and I want to hear more to say, what is it really?
Yes. So Mercury, like every other planet, goes retrograde. And what does that mean is, from here on Earth, we look at the sky and we have this sensation that the planet would go backwards. When we apply it to astrological work, a retrograde planet means literally going inward in relation to the archetype or that energy. So what we would need to know when we look at a retrograde planet, what does that planet signify? We are very accustomed to Mercury retrograde because of pop culture and social media, but Mercury doesn't retrograde as much as other planets.
Oh, yes. Interesting.
So I'm going to just go through this, a quick container for this energy. When Venus goes retrograde, it's a good time to look at your relationships and your self-esteem. When Mars goes retrograde, you won't be able to go ahead and pursue your goals as when Mars is direct. So you're going to look inward and understand your own insecurities or what prevents you or sabotage your procrastinating habits, whatever that is. When Mercury goes retrograde, Mercury is the mind, how we communicate, and we apply this, like, emails are not sent, traveling is being disturbed. No, it's not about that. It's more about your thinking process, your thought process. What are you saying to yourself? What are the thoughts you apply to the world? or onto the world.
Yeah.
And then how do you communicate? Is your language positive, negative? Is your language inspiring for your kids, for your partner? How do you talk about the world? So I know we need a superficial way of living. I know we can't always hold on depth, but I'm very, very upset with what social media does to very deep-seated and very rich subjects like astrology.
Yeah.
So Mercury retrograde, especially this one in February, and in my podcast I did talk about it. Mercury is going to go retrograde in Pisces. Now Pisces is the sign of spirituality. Pisces is the sign, is the energy that says there is something else and not just this physical reality we live in. There is something else beyond that. That's why we associate dreams with Pisces, visions, insights, near-death experiences, talking with God, how you feel when you say a prayer, all that excitement, all that almost like being possessed by a divine energy. That is Pisces. And also Pisces is being interconnected, feeling that if I harm you, I harm myself. That's Pisces energy. It's lovely to be with a Pisces or have Pisces people around you.
Yeah.
And Mercury, mind, communication, how we process the world through our mind, how we translate everything in life. Now, being in Pisces, and by the way, this is a very spot-on moment to record this and to have this conversation, because now, today, Mercury entered Pisces.
Oh.
So it's it's like an open door, you know? We open the door for Pisces energy. Mercury is going to go retrograde. This means that we are going to look inward, inside myself. How do I do that? Well, I think about what I do, what I say. I journal. I go back to what I said to someone, you know. How did I speak in a meeting with a partner, with a client? So I reflect. I self-reflect. I contemplate. I'm in my head, not thinking that someone did something to me, but putting the emphasis, the highlight on myself and how did I do different things or say different things. That's all what retrograde means.
Yes. And everyone experiences this in that same time frame?
Yes. However, some people are going to feel it more than others, because when we have the natal chart, the points in the chart, every natal chart is different. The points in the chart may or may not be touched by planets in the sky. Yes, so where we have Mercury passing, transiting, and Pisces people are going to be affected. Virgo people are going to be affected because Pisces, Virgo are in opposition. Yes, Gemini are going to be affected as well. So we have different signs more and more affected than others. Yeah, and basically for all of us, we need to look at how do we establish emotional connection with our tribe, with the people around us.
Right.
How our language empowers or destroys or helps in any way, or whatever our language does when it comes to emotional connection. Now, for me as a psychologist, and I really have to go deeper in this subject with the podcast and other conversations, we live in a time when we think being sensitive is weak. And I truly hope that this Mercury retrograde in Pisces during the month of February is going to create awareness and insight in our head, so we can shift perception from being sensitive equal weak, being sensitive equal having the ability to sense, to perceive subtlety. You understand now what Mercury retrograde does?
Definitely. Trust me, I am enlightened, because at first I thought it was just a period of negativity where everything goes haywire, and now I have more of a more in-depth understanding of what it is, and we see, Mercury is going to be in retrograde at this time or that time, and we all start panicking for some reason. But no, we understand that there's no reason to panic. This is a time to really be in tune with who you are, Alina. So I have to ask this, right? Do you think persons should seek out friendships or lovers based on astrology? Let's take a drink.
I'm going to answer this question from my practice, not from what I know. I have seen
Can we get both? Can we get the practice and from what you know? Okay.
I have seen great compatibility based on the signs and awful relationships. So I believe relationships are the hardest thing to do in life.
Preach.
And real relationships, and when I say real, I mean like there is actually a connection between you and your partner, and you're not just sharing a space or kids or money. So you actually connect with someone, you know who they are. It's very hard to be in a relationship no matter of whatever is happening. Yeah, it's hard to be with yourself, and now add an extra person in there. Do I believe in compatibility or not? I don't believe in it. I do not believe in it.
Why don't you believe in it?
I believe it's a surface thing, and once you really get to know someone, the fact that you resonate on different levels, it doesn't really do anything. You know,
that's an interesting
like we can be best friends. We can be amazing together because we are compatible. Yes. But then when we start living together, when we start doing everything together, we have different values.
Yeah, that's when
we come from different worlds.
Yeah.
We deal with simple, mundane, specific stuff that needs to be worked out now. So it doesn't matter how compatible we are. It's still going to get into either a power battle, which most relationships are based on, or for those conscious relationships, a way of collaborating, which I believe has everything to do with relationships and nothing to do with compatibility. So yes, you could say it's easier for me, like you're an Aries, it's easier for you, like we could be best friends. My moon is in Sag, your sun is in Aries. Sun, moon together, when you do relationships chart, it's like the perfect marriage. These two people always are going to feel good with each other because my emotional needs, my moon in Sag, is being nurtured by your vitality, who you are, your sun in Aries. You are gonna give me adventure and fire and passion and all of these things, and I'm going to give to you the ability to explore and discover and the pursuit of meaning, and I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna inspire you, and you're going to inspire me. Why do I talk like this? Fire, Aries, Sag needs inspiration, needs fire, needs being kindled.
Yes.
So if I am going to be with someone who is just water, my fire is not going to survive there. So yes, on a level, I need compatibility to feel myself, I guess. But then when we do relationships, that's not the only thing that is required. Work is required. Work in protecting my partner from myself, and they doing the same thing, and then having a common goal that we work for. So you can't really put them together. I do work a lot with couples with applying astrology, but not necessarily to look at compatibility, but to understand the third entity, the relationship. And that's where astrology is extremely beneficial, because you can be amazing together or without being together, a couple or two people. But then when they come together, they create a new chart. They create a new astrological chart which will show who the relationship is. And when I say who, I mean how the relationship is shining in the world, how the relationship needs to be nurtured, how the relationship applies itself to the world, achieving goals, or what the relationship needs to be to grow and be prosperous. So
it's almost like the relationship within itself takes on a body. So it's like a third person that needs to be groomed and nurtured. And so a lot of people will say, okay, we're not compatible, it's not working out, and move on.
Because relationships are not done for the true purpose. They are done because we are narcissists. I love you if you love me. If you treat me nice, I'm going to treat you nice. No kidding. No kidding. Is that a relationship?
No.
We do relationships. The biological model taught us we do relationships to procreate, and no, the real psychological need for relationships and companion is security. Emotional security. That's why people get together. That's why people break apart, because there is no emotional security there. That's the underpinning of everything that we consider relationship. So most relationships don't even get to become a relationship because of this idea of this narcissistic way of doing things nowadays. And when we apply the chart, I always speak about the third entity, and people are amazed because they don't understand why there is a third entity. So I ask, why are you with this person then?
Listen, this is very enlightening, and I want to go so much more in depth with all this, but we have some viewer questions, and I also wanted to touch on a bit of your psychotherapy, because I feel like mental health is a big issue right now, and especially in our society, it's not taken as seriously as it should.
The stigma we associate.
Right.
And the fact that we don't do much.
We don't do much about it, and it's getting to a point where our youth are being affected. But I remember sometime last year we went to do a mental health routine at a particular school, and one of the teachers were like, oh, children are affected by mental health, and that was kind of alarming to me, that you're in this profession dealing with children every day, but you don't know that children can be affected by mental issues, and mental issues does not necessarily mean, oh, you're schizophrenic or you have ADHD or anything like that. It can mean that you suffer from emotional stress, right, and other emotional issues. And I want to, in the Black culture especially, we have this thing where we take it to the Lord in prayer, right? And I'm not saying, guys, anything is wrong with that. I'm all about taking it to the Lord in prayer, but there are some times when we need to acknowledge that we need to see a professional.
I have no problem with talking with God. I talk with God every day. I don't even, every day, for everything I speak with God. In the same time, you need to go to a therapist.
Yes.
Whatever is happening, whether it's your context, your environment that is traumatic, or you yourself are losing it, or you have behaviors that are not, that show you are not yourself. You cry too much, you don't get out of the bed, your grades as a child are going down because you feel no motivation, and it's not boredom, or it's something else, something deeper than that. Parents, take your kids to talk with someone, and then parents themselves have to be aware of their need to talk about different things. What I find mind-blowing in Jamaica, because I'm not Jamaican, and it's very similar to Romania. I'm from Romania. It's this stigma, this idea that if I talk with you about what I feel and who I am weak, I am you're gonna judge me and all of that.
Yes.
And
or in Jamaica, some of us like to run and tell people's business, and that's a big fear. So I won't talk to you because there's no trust, because I think if I tell you something that I'm going through personally, you're gonna run and tell somebody else, and I'm gonna feel some kind of way about that, right?
Well, the truth is we all go through something. All of us. And I used to say these things, and I'm very passionate about what I feel and how I experience life. We are all broken. As strange as that seems, we are all broken. And if we think we are not broken, the system is broken. So we can appear, or we can behave in a way that could be considered broken. And the only small thing we can do is to open our minds to the possibility of learning something new, because psychotherapy or psychology is not about you being in any way sick or whatever. It's about you learning that there is another way of perceiving life, and there are so many resources out there. And I had this conversation with someone the other day. In the 21st century, we have no more excuse for staying the same person.
That's true, guys.
So it's not about stigma or someone talking about my things or what I'm going through. It's about us not taking accountability. And we can see this around us. Me personally not taking accountability, and then you and you and you. It's a system that doesn't take accountability. Our hospitals are hospitals in which nobody takes accountability. Our schools, our anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, we do not take that. We do not feel responsible to actually not necessarily heal or improve, to be curious, to be open. And I'm so blessed to do this work, because as much as I'm passionate about it, I think the purpose, or what drives me to do it, is to actually challenge people's mindsets.
Right, and I think because we're so kind of stagnated in that thought process, we're not as forward thinking as we should be, because we're just at this place where this is where we need to be and we're comfortable here, let's just stay here. It's not about improving or impacting lives, it's just about, okay, this is my comfort zone, I'm staying here.
Yes, the worst thing in life that we can do is to stay in the familiar and the comfort zone. The worst thing, because we are never growing. And I want to say something about what you just said. We are not open, or we don't think forward. I believe we do think forward in relation to many things. Like, let's just say, let's just look at the material life. Someone thinks forward in having a better car, in having a better job, so they can think ahead and they can work for that. And what psychotherapy does is uses the same patterns or the same behaviors and apply them to something else. So it's not like you need to be a different person, you just have to think forward or to do forward in other areas of your life. It's like the cleaning the beach, you think forward in getting more money and becoming more known for whatever, but let's think forward in actually taking the plastic, or not throwing away, or not polluting the environment, because it's the same thing that we apply with our brain.
I agree.
Correct?
I agree. I agree.
So it's not like nobody has to do anything. It's the same brain. It's just placing. It's almost like cutting that movie, shutting down that movie, opening a new window, a new movie, and applying the same things we do there.
Yes, definitely. Guys, I hope you're taking in every bit of this, because I'm woke as hell. But I have some viewer questions that I want to ask you, so let's get right into it. Alright, now one question from a viewer, Jasmine. She wants to know, what is the significance of the North Node and the South Node?
Very good question. This is a technical question, and probably she's studying astrology since she asked this question. The North Node is the soul purpose. Why are we here on Earth? What do we need to embody in this life? What kind of energy we are moving towards? And the South Node is the opposite point in the chart. The energy we know very well, the comfort zone, the familiar, and that energy pulls us back because it's so familiar. So we do that behavior, or we express that energy naturally. What the chart says, or what astrology teaches, is that we have to blend these two together. The familiar, what we know, what I'm expert in, and the energy I'm going towards.
Jasmine, I hope you have that.
She could have actually said what signs, and I would have gone more into detail if she would have said my North Node is in Cancer, my South Node is in Capricorn. So Capricorn South Node is someone who by default can work hard, be an expert, be very hands-on, like a boss lady, and then moving towards North Node in Cancer, much more nurturing, mothering, holding space, like being sweet, and all of that, that kind of energy.
All right, another question. I think this is numerology, which we don't really want to jump in.
Maybe there are people out there who can combine the two. I don't, and there is no practice that combines the two. It's just someone who, like I combine psychology with astrology. Someone who is very good with numerology can combine the two.
So karma. Let's talk a little bit about karma.
I think we need a whole interview for it. We need a whole discussion about karma.
Yes, because this person is asking how to identify a karmic partner or a karmic lesson. And I know this is a lot to cover. We may have to, but what can you tell us in just a little, just a little taste of it? What can you tell us?
We use this framework, this way of seeing things in astrology when we link Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, so the faraway planets. We link them with something we see in the chart, so we can express things through past lives, karma. In the same time, the way I practice it, because I'm a psychologist, I tend to move the focus on, even if this is something that, let's say, you carry in your soul. What can we do? How can we? What does need to happen in this life, so you can bypass these behaviors and these things you are creating? Because when someone would ask questions about karma, usually they are hurt by something. There is a repetition in their life of a pattern, of a model of behavior or relationships, probably. Yes, and she's tired of it. So you could explain this, oh, it's karma. If she comes and works with me, that won't be the explanation.
Right.
These are the patterns. I can put words on what I see in the chart, and then through questions she will probably validate what I already see, and then we'll apply psychology and psychotherapy to it to understand what kind of behaviors we can create, what kind of understanding of relationships. Maybe the whole idea about relationships is very complicated and complex in that person's life. Maybe there is someone who idealizes relationships a lot, Sun, Moon, Neptune, but then they have a Pluto whatever in the chart, and that makes them feel I can't trust anyone. So of course all your relationships will sound or feel or be calming, because we can't do relationships if we can't trust. That's why relationships don't go very deep, because we don't like being vulnerable.
Right, that's true. That's completely factual. Alina, I am so grateful to have you on the show, and I want you to come back, because I feel like we have just scratched the surface, right?
We did.
So promise me you'll come back and we'll do another show. We'll talk some more, maybe about karma, maybe about something else. But I'm so happy to have you guys. Be sure to follow Alina. You'll see her handle here, and you can reach out to her. Listen to her podcast. Alina, what's the name of your podcast?
Living Astrology.
Living Astrology.
You cannot teach, you cannot learn, teach, you cannot do astrology without living it.
There you go, guys. So find out more about Alina and the work she does by following her and listening to her podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this particular podcast and our page, Chic Roun. And guess what? We'll see you around soon.